Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Our guest today is my great friend, Gary Wagner, the editor of goldforecast.com. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad to
Yeah,
be here.
it's always a pleasure having you come on, Gary, to talk about, gold, silver, precious metals, and even more to our Wall Street Silver audience. And I want to start off with gold and silver. They're holding up strong. Everyone has their eye on it. The US dollar is going down. What's happening, Gary?
Well, we've got kind of a trifecta, let's call it that, in which there are multiple events and scenarios kind of uh, taking place simultaneously. The big news, of course, is the Fed. First, they paused, but they wouldn't allude to cutting rates till way in the future. What was their slogan? Higher for longer.
Yeah.
And then the Hawks came out and said, but we need more rate hikes. I'm not sure this will do it. And the other day, one of the most hawkish of the governors, Christopher Waller, came out, said, I think we're going the right way. I think we've raised rates substantially. And we should start thinking about cutting rates.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like me saying, no, 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 I'm going to be on a diet every day. It's just counterintuitive to what that guy normally says. And so that really ignited the second leg of this rally. Of course, we have the October rally in both gold and silver. That takes us up to a certain price point in each. We
Mm-hmm.
have a sizable correction, and now we're back in rally mode up until today. But I think that even if we get any kind of selling, it'll be very, very shallow, short lived, and we'll return to higher prices in both metals.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people have been talking about, on the technical side, the cup and handle. They've been seeing gold is right out on that edge. There's a certain level they want it to break. A lot of people are talking about 2075 is the level. Do you think it'll be 2100 or more until you see an ultimate breakout? What levels do you think it'll be at, Gary?
The most recent levels I wanted to see if gold rose, how it would react, and now the future levels I'm looking at. One of the big ones was $1,980.
Hmm.
Then the key psychological $2,000 level. Above that, we've got a double top at, I believe, 2040, then one at 2080. And then for those old enough to remember Jackie Gleason, it's off to the moon because if it breaks above a certain point, there is no strong technical resistance in sight. In the same way, the recent move down in the dollar was chart damage because there's no technical support for about 2 to 3%.
Yeah. And when do you think the Fed will ultimately make that pause or will turn down? Do you think it'll be the next meeting or will they do like a little hold like some other Fed people like in Canada and that will they just do a pause next and then reverse or ultimately reverse right away? Where do you see the Fed going, Gary? And a lot of people have been asking too is what's the highest level of gold can hit? Like you see Bitcoin going to $60,000 and 50 in the past 3 4 years, and it's not even it's not even like the physical like gold, the properties that it has. So where do you see gold ultimately going, Gary?
Well, you're asking the 64,000, maybe $64 million question. I think, and this is myself, first to answer the part about the Fed, they've already implemented a pause. They've already ended the rate hike cycle,
Mm-hmm.
unless data comes out that suggests they've gone off the trajectory that they're currently on, which they believe will take them to 2% inflation. So they're done raising rates. That's my opinion. It's not based on anything a Fed member says except veiled kind of comments because they don't say much. And when they do, they talk out of both sides of their
Right.
mouth. Where could gold go to? And this is my favorite subject. I might have been wrong last year looking for $2,200 gold. I am still looking for $2,200 gold. A move past 2,100, and we're quickly getting ready to challenge that fact, takes us really 22 to 25. Now, what's my time scale? I don't think it's going to go there overnight. I think that if we see 2,200 by Q2 next year, that will be amazing. But here's the thing, if you look at gold on a long-term chart, if you look at real estate on a long-term chart, if you look at silver on a long-term chart, There's been one predominant direction. And what is it? Up,
Yeah, up.
because they're hard assets.
Right.
And if you look at the buying power of the dollar or any foreign currency, there's been the same consistency and trajectory, but kind of the other way. You buy less with those currencies. So the currencies are getting beaten up, and the hard assets are kind of filling that void because for centuries, individuals, corporations, countries have felt comfortable having their assets with something like gold, a precious metal, or other things. Look at the World Council's report that said that I think it was in the first 3 quarters of this year, central banks combined bought a record
Yeah.
amount of gold, 800 tons, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I seen that report.
And that's huge. I mean, that's huge. So you've got central banks buying and at the same time running bond auctions, which is kind of how we print money inadvertently. So
Right.
what's happening? We're watering down our currency and we're replacing it with a hard asset.
When
Do you see a
when
routine there? Do you see
right.
I see something there that's very easy that we all see. They know something that they can act on. We might know something and not have the ability to act in the way they can, but both assumptions are correct. Assets like gold and silver will continue to gain value over time. Fiat currency will do the opposite.
So I just wanted to let everyone know about our new sponsor, Strategic Wealth Preservation. They are an international precious metals dealer and they are a secured storage provider that have headquarters in the Cayman Islands. The company owns and operates a large Class 3 UL rated vault in the Grand Caymans, and they offer other strategic locations as part of its global storage network. They specialize in the acquisition, secure storage, and liquidation of precious metals for individuals, companies, trusts, and wealth management professionals on behalf of their clients. So if you guys want to check them out, the link is in the description below. Well, when Nixon took, the U.S. dollar off the gold standard, what price was gold then? Do you know exactly in the 70s?
Yeah, well, I believe it was right around 100. Realize that gold for centuries was $20 until 1933. Roosevelt did the whatever the name of the act is. He told every American citizen
They have
that
to
they
turn
have
in
to
their gold.
turn
Yeah.
in their gold, turn in their silver, and we're going to replace it with this beautiful bill that says, "Trust us, trust us."
Right.
That was beginning of fiat currency. Nixon put the final stake in that, and that's after Bretton Woods. And in fact, what he did is really up until uh, Nixon's action, if you had a silver certificate, a piece of currency, a gold certificate, you
Mm-hmm.
could still go to a central bank anywhere in the United States and exchange it for gold.
Wow.
He made that illegal, except the only ones that could convert gold into dollars was countries that the USA approved of.
Yeah. That's
Um,
crazy. Do you think it
well,
can happen again? Do you think it would happen ever again? Because like realistically today, what if like the government said to everyone, "Oh, turn in your gold for a digital dollar or something"? Nobody would do it. Would you, Gary?
yeah, I would have to be in agreement with you. I'm surprised that so many did, but the
Right.
ultra wealthy took it, put it into big bags, and then sold it across to Europe in European banks.
Right. And you're looking at what's happening now, like in the Middle East. You're looking the wars breaking out and wars ongoing in Ukraine. And there's so much geopolitical tensions around the world, China, this and that. Like obviously the store of value when you have all of these inflationary pressures and wars igniting is for thousands of years, you look back at gold. So it's impossible for gold to fail, in my eyes, of course.
Yeah, to me, you're preaching to the choir. I get that, and I do believe it. At first, I was very concerned about what happened in the Middle East, the war that broke out. And then when I saw how quickly people got jaded to it and kind of put it in the back burner and then started looking at the Fed, made me realize that as a species, we're pretty shallow.
Yeah.
But more than that, things tend to resolve themselves. The issue that I see now is that over the last month to 6 weeks, I, I believe it's from Yemen, but they're firing ballistic missiles at U.S. ships and
Yeah, yeah, I
targets
seen that.
and were retaliating. Now, what could possibly be their purpose? Maybe to get us involved into this bigger net and expand that. If that happens, I pray it doesn't.
Yeah,
But that would be an unusual scenario that I wouldn't be comfortable with.
yeah,
But right now, if you look at what's happening to the dollar, to the economy, to different governments, they're all shifting from extremely restrictive because they're coming from not even extremely accommodative. What do you call when your borrowing rate is between 0.25%, as it was in March of 2022? Um, and then there's the thing about negative rates in Japan, which is a concept for the life of me I still don't understand. So you're going to pay me for borrowing money. I,
crazy.
I don't believe that's quite what it is, but it goes to show you I have no clue what they're actually trying to say. But the fact is, it's harder to buy mortgages. And the one thing about inflation, inflation has run from 9.1 down to about 3.7. That's a big move down. But I
Hmm.
think the unspoken truth about inflation is when it normalizes, let's say it goes back to 2% tomorrow morning magically,
Hmm.
are prices at the store going to decline? They don't. All bringing inflation down means is they won't get more expensive, but
Right,
they're already so expensive that that's going to be the challenge. Is not that they slow inflation down, it's the fact that once inflation is brought to what the Fed considers to be a tolerable level,
right.
the items that people use to live and breathe every day remain just as elevated. They're not going to go down.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
For
I
some,
I was even I've read online before that you don't even want deflation because deflation is a lot worse than inflation ultimately if the economy starts slowing down to a halt and currency dries up and Fed stops bailing people out, like obviously, yeah, it's getting crazy. But Gary, I just wanted to thank you so much coming down to Wall Street Silver. It's such a huge pleasure having you on, and obviously everyone's watching gold and silver very closely now as they're starting to move up, so we'd love to have you back on as the months develop.
I am here for you anytime.
Oh,
Anyone who wants to find out more about me, thegoldforecast.com. And as a side note,
yeah.
I am so convinced that accumulation is what people should be doing, along with trading, because that's the primary thing. We actually formed an alliance with one of the biggest mints in the country, Miles Franklin, and we drop ship for them. That's how strongly I believe that everybody out there with their to their own means, meaning a percentage of their portfolio, a percentage of their free money, if they don't have free money, a percentage of their macaroni money, put the stuff away and put it away in gold or silver.
Yeah,
It won't
absolutely
do
agree.
you, it will never do you wrong. Please, I'm adamant about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's such a huge pleasure, Gary, having you on, and again, such a huge pleasure having you on talking about everything.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.